Greetings everyone and welcome to WSO2 Identity Server 7 product release webinar. So WSO2 Identity Server is a leading open source identity and access management software solution. It's used to solve identity and access management problems in either on-premise or cloud environments, securing access for your consumers, enterprise customers, workforce, or APIs. And by today, over 1 billion identities are managed with WSO2 Identity Server deployments across 1,500 plus commercial deployments globally. And in this webinar, we are going to discuss the latest release of WSO2 Identity Server, which is the version 7, and all cool new features and enhancements coming out. So, before going into the details, let me introduce myself first. I'm Malithi Edirisinghe, a senior member of WS Identity and Access Management Engineering team. I have been in WSO2 IAM team for nearly 9 years and have led the identity and access management product stack that includes both Identity Server and Asgardio, the Identity as a SaaS service. And that includes the leading that includes leading the Identity Server 7 project as well. Uh, this gives a high-level overview of the IAM product stack, which provides multiple deployment options. We have WSO2 Identity Server as the open source installable software, and a single tenanted SaaS named Private Identity Cloud, which is a dedicated hosted version of the Identity Server. And we have Asgardio, the multi-tenanted ITaaS. Identity Server 7 is the latest release in our open source identity and access management software series. With the history spanning over 10 years, this release of Identity Server marks a significant milestone. It introduces key enhancements aimed at improving the developer experience and broadens the functionality to support B2B SaaS application use cases. Additionally, it ensures consistency in features and user experience across all deployment options we discussed in the previous slide. This basically summarizes the key highlights of Identity Server 7 that we are discussing today. That includes the optimized developer experience, comprehensive support for B2B SaaS app requirements, financial grade API security, and the unified identity and access management experience across all WSO2 IAM products. So let's take a closer look at these highlights. So this slide lists the key improvements in Identity Server 7 that simplifies the development of login registration and user management for apps. That includes the visual low code editor, application templates to easily implement access for varied apps such as web, mobile, service to service, etc., without being experts in the security and security standards. Simplified role based access control for APIs and secure access for those APIs from apps, and the authentication API to implement application native authentication within the app itself. So let's explore these improvements in detail by product showcase. So this is the Identity Server 7 console, and it revamps the console experience completely with this React-based console, moving out from the Carbon-based management console that was available. Here you see applications, and there are a number of templates available for developers to choose from. when integrating their apps to implement the login and registration. That includes integrating a single page application, web application, mobile application, M2M application, and so on. And with these app templates, we have SDKs and samples for different texts for them to easily start integrating the apps. Connections here list all authentication connections available to add to your apps. This includes multi-factor authentication options, social logins, passwordless options, um, and many more. So then if I go to the API resources, this list all the APIs your app can consume. So it can be APIs related to your application logic or product APIs of identity server to be consumed by your app. So if we go to branding session, so branding facilitates white labeling all login and registration pages, and that also counts the self-service portal and also email templates. So let's switch to an application and have a look at the login flow editor I mentioned earlier. Let me go to applications and pick Pet Desk mobile app. So this is the visual flow editor. So the developer can add multiple authentication steps as well as add multiple authentication options, and they can engage these different MFA options, passwordless options as they like. And further, we have a code flow and auditor editor to orchestrate the login flow, and there are a number of predefined templates to choose from to add authentication, and number of templates, conditional authentication templates available to like step up based on login attempts, risk, uh, uh, based on device, likewise. Now let's look at how RBAC is simplified for API access. So here, as I mentioned previously, developers can define their API resources with respective permission sets um, like this, and product APIs are also available to be consumed, which are also listed here. And from an application they can now subscribe to these APIs. So let me go to pet vet web application, and here this application subscribes to the product APIs as well as the business APIs of this application. And then at the application level in here, they can define roles as per the user personas accessing the app, and this also provides the ability to define roles in the organization scope and using multiple apps if apps are having the same authorization requirement. Then, based on the APIs that the app subscribes to, respective permissions can be granted for rows, and at access time, based on the rows assigned to the user, user access is granted. So that covers a few key highlights that we have improved in the product. Then I will move into API for in-app authentication. So this is a key differentiating feature we are now supporting with Identity Server 7. That is to let developers to build login experiences native to the app, such that the user will not be redirected to browser leaving the application. This diagram depicts how the experience differs. In old experience, it's over the browser, and in new experience, it's native to the app. And this has been a main concern for mobile app developers for a while. And over the time, various proprietary ways which either compromises security or the experience is being used. And in prior identity server versions, we also had custom ways of supporting this requirement. We just provided support for a set of authentication methods, and the full advantage of the login flow designer was unable to be utilized. And this is actually now sold with Identity Server 7, providing the right capability for developers to build the right experience for their apps without compromising security. And there are several value additions here. First one is the ability to orchestrate authentication methods without updating the client. For example, if there's a requirement to step up authentication based on the location, based on the internal network or external network, that flow can still be handled at the identity service side when defining the login flow. And the app can just act on authentication methods the identity server responds to be prompted for the user. The API is based on auth to OpenID Connect flows without the need of browser support. And the community is already having discussions on addressing this problem on top of auth to OpenID Connect, and we are aligned with that direction. Third point is that Identity Service support, 7 supports assuring proof of possession of the client, seamlessly integrating with app attestation mechanisms provided by platforms. For instance, it can integrate with attestation services offered by iOS and Android to authenticate the mobile client. Uh, so let me walk through a scenario where how this API is rather utilized in the application. So here the app just initiates an authorization request adhering to OpenID Connect protocol. An identity server validates the integrity of the app, um, integrating with the Google Play Integrity API, and responds with available authentication options for the app as configured in the login flow. Then, as users pick the respective login, and in this scenario, actually, this shows a scenario where app integrates Google SDK and get a Google token and passes that request back to identity server to validate and authenticate. And as authentication is successful, the authorization code is returned to the app, and the app gets the access token with to initiate API access. Um, so let me show how this app gets configured and how the API works. So let me move into the pet desk mobile application, and here if I go to advanced section, in this section we have enabled application native authentication for this app, and also it the respective attestation mechanism is configured, and it has the facility to attest the client invoking the Google Play Integrity API, and we have similar support for iOS. And this is the login flow of the application. So it's configured such that to um, prompt the TOTP if the user has done a prior enrollment for the over the self-service portal, or if user does not log in with a passkey. So let me switch off the attestation and show how the API responds. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is the first call that the application needs to initiate, and it's just or to authorize call. And with that, identity server responds with the respective authentication options available, which is in this case Google, username, password, and passkey. So let's try to authenticate the user over the username password flow. So I'm giving the username and password and initiating the next call. And for this particular user, the TOTP is enrolled. So I rather have to give the TOTP token in order to successfully authenticate for this app. So let me add the token in my Google Authenticator app. I'm not 8 and initiate the call. And now the authentication is success and we get the authorization code over the response so that the application can now initiate a token call. So that's how the API works, and let me also quickly show how the real application experience works when this is integrated to the app. So I have a recorded demo of that. So this is the pet care pet desk application that the users log in, and here I'm using a Google login mechanism, and with that user gets to enter the TOTP at the token, and with that user is authenticated. And this also has how passkey authentication also works. So let's quickly go through that. So passkey option is picked, and user picks the passkey and directly logged in to the application. Okay, so next we are moving into discuss the B2B capabilities. So support for CIAM use cases of B2B SaaS apps is also a key differentiator in Identity Server 7. The capabilities we have brought into the product includes a lot of learnings from our customers, which is like 40% of our current customer base. The difference here is that these SaaS apps serve another business, and in the majority case, their employees log into the application. And this is what you see with all SaaS applications that you may be using in your workspace, like Zoom, Salesforce, Google Workspace, etc. And it's very common for IT admins to have an account for your enterprise and to plug the enterprise IDP so their employees can seamlessly access this app. Then there are also use cases where customers of the respective enterprise also are served. One example is SaaS apps provided for universities or educational institutions like learning management systems, and there will be apps where students who are the in customers will access, and also apps the staff will access. So Identity Server supports a wide range of capabilities covering these B2B requirements, and that includes organization management, hierarchical organizations, support for multiple application portfolios, securing access with RBAC, a single sign-on, etc. Then delegated user management, customized login per organization, branding per organization, collaboration between organizations. Then further improving operations, it should be possible to integrate with other systems, for example like having an integration with Salesforce to automate an account initiation in your CIAM as the CRM entry is updated, and also to provide also to let customers to selectively subscribe to services or applications based on the business model. Then providing self-service facilities for customer organization, admins, etc. So let's look at few key capabilities Identity Server supports. So here, first, planning to discuss the role-based access control for dedicated administration, and I'm using a hypothetical business use case here, which is a veterinary service provider named PetCare. Then there are various veterinary clinics that register to their SaaS app, and each veterinary clinic will have the requirement to manage access to their staff for this app. Let's go to the pet care pet vet web application, and if we go to shared access, so this is a B2B SaaS application implemented, and this application is shared with all organizations. Then its login includes basically username, password, and sign in with single sign-on option. So this SSO takes the user to enter a particular org or an email address in order to resolve the organization they want to log in. So by default, organization is resolved with the org name as user input, and resolving an organization by the email also can be configured. Further, it's possible to give a URL for enterprise customers so that they can directly log in, providing their credentials rather than having a step to enter the org name. And as we went through previously, this application actually consumes a set of APIs, which is again protected with Identity Server here, and this includes these specific business APIs and identity access management APIs. Um, and collectively, the API access is controlled with role-based access control. So this application has two such roles defined in the scope of the application, and which is pet care, pet vet admin, and pet vet doctor. And these roles are shared with organizations as the application gets shared, so they can be assigned to users at the organization level. So let's look at the organizations, and there are four organizations onboarded here. And solution admins of pet care, the service providing business, can onboard orgs and users of this management console or via a CRM system like Salesforce that integrates over APIs. So, as a privileged user of pet care, the service providing business, I can switch to an org, onboard users, and give access to the app. So, let me switch to a lightweight organization. Now, if I go to user management section, I can see the users that has been onboarded. And if I go to John D, so this user is granted this pet vet admin role of this application, and also granted access for the console. If we go to Jeff, this user rather has a pet vet doctor role and also pet vet admin role. So that's how access can be granted for users over RBAC. Okay, so next I'm going to discuss how organizations can have varied login options. So each enterprise customer has the control to onboard the login they prefer. So let me go back to Adin Server Console, and we are at the Lightweight organization. And if I go to this PetCare PetVet app, here the login flow is configured as username, password, and the authenticate app, TOTP authenticate app as the second step. Let me switch to another organization. Go to organizations and switch to CityPet. And if I go to applications here, this organization rather configures username, password, and signing with the enterprise IDP, and they have onboarded the enterprise IDP at the organization level. So I have a small recording of how this experience really looks like. So in this case, the user is directly logging over the qualified URL, and it's accessing the CityPet uh, organization. And as per the configuration, user gets the username password option and the enterprise IDP option, and user is able to log in with the enterprise IDP, which is in this case Azure AD. And if we look at this scenario, the user is going to access the PetVet application as use of a lightweight, and the login flow is different than the previous one. Here they have the username and password, and as they log in, TOTP is prompted, so they have to authenticate with the authenticator app. And with that done, they are logged in to the application. Product also facilitates applications to be selectively subscribed to organizations. So if I go to this pet vet in pet desk enterprise application, let me switch to the parent organization level applications, pet desk enterprise. And here we can see this application is selectively shared only with the Goodwill organization. Also, product provides capability so that the B2B solution provider can let their customer to apply their branding for the app. So if I go to, let me switch to Goodwill organization, and if I go to branding, and here this organization has applied a custom branding with Goodwill logo for this application. So this is how basically the overall experience looks like when the user tries to access the application. So now this pet desk enterprise application is subscribed only by this Goodwill organization, and the application itself has its own branding. And it's basically pet owners log into this application, so they will log in with an email OTP, and note that the login page served from Identity Server is branded. They give the email OTP and simply access the application. Okay, so product capability also includes onboarding and managing organizations at enterprise customer or partner organization level as well. So in this scenario, Goodwill rather has two such organizations onboarded. So and they may have their own administration and own users managed in the organization level. So that basically covers the B2B capabilities that I wanted to highlight. That's coming with Identity Server 7. And next, I will move into financial grade API security. So Identity Server 7 is now first class compliant for FAPI 1.0. And FAPI is used to protect high value enterprise APIs, and that particularly evolved with requirements to open data in financial services, especially in banking payments. So FAPI conformance for prior versions of Identity Server was actually provided with WSO2 Open Banking solution as connectors to the core product. But now we see FAPI is getting adopted in many other verticals other than the open banking, and that is moving towards open data with regard to consumer data protection regulations enforced by governments. So one good example is the CDR in Australia, and this is getting adopted in the energy and telecommunication sector there. So with that trend, we decided to onboard these capabilities default to the product, and we also support or to push authorization request and JAM, JWT Secured Authorization Response Mode. These specifications are discussed under FAPI 2, and we are currently on track to align with FAPI 2.0 standards as part of our roadmap. So with the Identity Server 7 launch, we will be offering a unified experience across all three deployment options we provide. Identity Server as Cardio, the SaaS, and the single tenanted SaaS. All three options will share feature parity and consistent user experience going forward. And we will have a unified code base while Identity Server being the backbone of all three, and this will further simplify the transition from software to cloud for our customers, and also helps prospects who are going over similar strategies, as we can fit wherever they are in their cloud journey with the common experience. Okay, so that concludes our overview of what's new in Identity Server 7. And with that, we reach the end of this webinar. Before we wrap up, I would like to take a moment to discuss what differentiates WSO2 Identity and Access Management. So, our products are truly open source, promoting transparency, community contributions, and broader adoption, and we will keep committing to that. Then WSO2 Identity and Access Management has the best-in-class B2B CIAM capabilities, and there's much more than what I covered in this webinar. So give it a try and refer to our content, and we will also be discussing more on this topic in coming months. Uh, then WSO2 IAM supports access management requirements of the workforce in consumers, enterprise customers, business partners, and also APIs. So that's over any mechanism you want to deploy, and it can be subscription service for software, single tenant cloud, or multi-tenant SaaS. And our solutions are developer focused, that simplifies integrations and implementations with APIs, SDKs, events, and we comprehensively adhere to open standards that facilitates interoperability and extensibility. So, thank you to everyone who joined our webinar on Identity Server 7. We are excited about the advancements this release brings to the table, and look forward to seeing how it empowers your projects and innovation. So please feel free to reach out with any questions or for further discussions. And thank you for your time. And we hope to connect with you again in our future updates and releases.